Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ahmad El Sayed.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. So, it's a great pleasure to be back, part of these wonderful face-to-face events. I'm going to talk to you today about trustworthy and responsible AI. AI is today making more and more decisions impacting our daily lives. It is deciding whether we are eligible for a personal loan or which interest rate should apply for us. It is deciding whether we are eligible or qualified for a job. It is deciding whether we should have a medical treatment, so on and so forth. So the very first question we should be asking when we see all this impact happening around us is how much we can trust these AI decisions coming from a machine. There is almost no day that passes by without seeing news stories that look like this. We have AI being today accused of being biased against minority groups of people based on gender, age, ethnicity. We have AI accused to be like a black box, hard to explain, hard to interpret. AI is being accused of being as well touching and compromising on consumer and data privacy. And bad media is not the only risk and consequence of trustworthy AI problems. We are talking about lawsuit, heavy regulatory fines, sometimes exceeding $100 million. We're talking about reputational damage and destruction of shareholder value. So, and these concerns show very clearly in the market research report. Like one report from Gartner showed that 85% of AI projects will deliver erroneous outcome due to bias. 80% of C-level executives see AI or see trust as a barrier for a wider AI adoption at the enterprise. So when we see these numbers, we believe that trust is a fundamental threat for a wider adoption for AI at the enterprise. So today, organizations are taking these very seriously. For example, 75% of large organizations will hire AI behavior forensic and privacy and customer trust specialists by 2023, according to Gartner. So we at IBM, we have leveraged our long years of experience engaging with more than 40,000 AI customers to set the principle and the foundation of what trustworthy and responsible AI means for organizations. So we have co-authored with the World Economic Forum and with Santa Clara University the principle and the best practices to apply ethical AI for the enterprise. So we believe that it should always start from ethics at the core. What are these ethics? First, we believe that AI is here to augment human intelligence, not to replace it. We believe that data and insight belong to the creators, and nobody else should be using them for their own purposes without special consent. And third, we believe that AI should be transparent, explainable, and robust. These principles, of course, are easy to say, hard to apply. And this is why we have set the technological pillars on how you transform them into practice, and we're going to talk about that in more details. And we believe that these technologies should be part of an open and diverse ecosystem where different market players should contribute and open up to share their assets, their know-how, and their code to be able to really benefit all of us. And IBM has been leading this kind of initiative where we have released a lot of the AI ethics technologies for the open source community. So what are these key pillars or principles that we should apply at the enterprise for trustworthy AI? First, we believe that AI should be transparent. And by transparency here, we mean we should have the proper lineage all the way from data collection, data preparation, feature engineering, model training, monitoring, and management. And this lineage should be provided in a human-readable and meaningful, easy-to-read documentation that is easy to share with the regulator when you are asked to do so. Of course, not all of us need to know all this information. So based on where do you sit inside the organization, you will have this information from different angles. And we embedded transparency at the core of our product. So even today, if you use like AutoML or AutoAI, which is basically seen as a black box because it's like 2 click buttons to create a model, we allow our users to open the box and see in Python code what are precisely the different steps that the pipeline went through to train the model. Second, we believe that AI should be explainable. And here we're not only talking about having AI in a way to understand what are the most important features for the model overall. We are talking about explaining AI decisions at transactional and individual level. So if I'm recommending that somebody's application or mortgage loan should be declined, I should be able to explain why, what are the positive and negative factors and contributors for that decision with some confidence rate. And as well, I should be able to do some what-if analysis to understand what are the changes that I should recommend to have a different outcome. Third, we believe that AI should be fair. So of course, we define what's fair based on the use case, based on the problem you're trying to face. We can define it based on gender, age group, race, ethnical affiliation, and so on. And let's make it clear. If we are using these columns and these features in our data because we think they are valuable. So we're not saying go and exclude these features from analysis. We believe that gender and age really help to have better accuracy. But what we're saying here is that if we are predicting that certain decision is solely based on one of these factors, then we'll flag it as biased, and we'll provide a deep biased recommendation to have a better outcome. So it's not about excluding these features, it's about using them smartly to be able to offer more deep biased kind of outcome. Fourth, we believe that AI should be robust. And robustness is, of course, a wide area in AI. First, as we all know, as soon as we go and deploy our proudly trained model in production, it will start losing accuracy from day one. Why? Because everything around the model is changing. You have new products, new customer behavior, new market dynamics, you have pandemic, right? So everything is changing around the model that makes it lose accuracy. So it's very important to be able to monitor the model, check its accuracy over time, and react and retrain, refresh the model when needed. But some might tell me, my model is designed to predict what will happen next month or next week. I don't want to wait a month till I figure out that my model was not doing okay. I want to proactively act on it as soon as I receive my new data. I want to know how much drop of accuracy am I expecting today. And for this, we have something called like drift detection, which is able to predict in advance potential drop of accuracy on your most recent data, and as well tell you what are the features and transactional responsible for that drop in accuracy. And the third aspect of robustness is around, of course, adversarial attacks. Because AI is today taking more and more decisions, it's being the target of hackers, of bad guys, who will try to poison this model with fake data to serve their purposes. So it's very important to have a robust model to be able to detect these attacks and being able to react on them as soon as possible. Fifth, we believe that AI should respect and should safeguard for consumer rights and data privacy. So here it's very important first to identify in your data lake, in your data warehouse, what are these private and confidential data, and then have the proper information on how, where, and by who this data is being used and for which purpose. And we have a different way as well that we recommend as well for handling data privacy is what we call federated learning. So let's say you have 3 departments or 3 government entities who want to work together, but they just don't want to share data for different privacy reasons. So what we can do is that we can do machine learning at the source, train a model without moving any data outside, okay? And then embed and aggregate these sub-models into one final model that can benefit the all. So the idea is to have different entities mutually benefit from each one data, each one insight, without having to share or to move data outside your sources. So these are kind of like the 5 principles and the 5 technological pillars that we recommend for customers to embed trustworthy AI. But to make it even more complex, these principles are just one dimension that you need to consider for your enterprise AI journey. Of course, you need to have capabilities to handle different types of analytics, from descriptive or reporting, dashboarding, all the way to predictive and prescriptive to optimize certain decisions, like for decision optimization. You need to have capabilities to handle the whole entire AI ladder that was explained by my colleague, Mohammed Shanawani. So you need the capabilities to collect data using different connectors or even using data virtualization, so you don't have to move data. Organize, where you need to have capabilities to prepare, to do data governance, data quality, data cataloging, and data discovery to keep this data in a good shape and being ready to be consumed by the analytics. And then, of course, you need to analyze these data through different kind of analytics we just spoke about. And finally, you should be able to infuse these analytics part of your target application or your internal processes. You need to be able to handle different kind of data, whether it's internal, external, structured, unstructured, coming in batch or real time. You should be able as well to have capabilities to address these different personas' needs. It's not just about data scientists. It's a really team sport where you need to have business analysts, data scientists, MLOps, data steward, data engineers, all working together to deliver certain use case. Even in the data science category, you'll have multiple categories. You'll have the coders, like, okay, the Python coders, the open source fans. You will have people who would like to use visual modeling, and you'll have people who would like to use like auto AI or like auto ML. You need to be able as well to leverage data and capabilities wherever it lives, whether it is sitting on your premises, on your private cloud, whether it's sitting on some public cloud, and most likely you need to be able to handle a multi-hybrid cloud environment. So why I'm putting all these dimensions? Because the traditional approach to handle these technological requirements is to invest in point products, point solution for each one of these. I would go invest one product for ETL, another one for data governance, one for structured data, another one for vision and for text. I will try to handle one product for reporting, another one for data science. So you will end up with a massive amount of products which are hard to integrate, hard to scale, and hard to maintain. So today, our approach at IBM is that we can deliver all these capabilities on top of one single unified platform called IBM Cloud Pak for Data. And this platform is not a marketing packaging where we are rebranding different products under one name. It is a properly one single application with one single administration and monitoring layers, but does not mean that you need to start with all these services at once. It's a very modular platform where you can really enable these services that you need for your own use case. But you know that you are embarking on a platform that can grow and that can expand as your workload and business needs grow in the future. The word cloud can be confusing. It does not mean that it has to be on the cloud. It is a cloud-native platform running on Red Hat OpenShift, which allows you to go and deploy it anywhere you like. You would like to deploy it on premises, on a public cloud, or even on a third-party cloud, AWS, Azure, or Google. This platform has been recognized by major market analysts as a leader in that space. So you see the different data and AI waves for Forrester will be recognized as leader in the data cataloging, in data science, text mining, even conversational AI. And today, IBM has the largest AI market share according to IDC. One more recent report from Gartner that positioned IBM as a leader in the data science and machine learning platform due to its open, modular, and enterprise platform for different analytics purposes. So technology is great, but we believe AI specifically is very human-centric. So for this, we have a set of methodologies and prescriptive approach to sit with you to design the path for trustworthy AI. We can run ideation and design thinking workshop to be able to understand your business needs and translate that into business outcomes. Okay, so it's really great to talk about, giving lessons for others, like what others should do. But at IBM, we believe that we should show the example. We should start doing it ourselves. How we have embedded trustworthy AI inside our own processes, inside our own organization. We have today an AI ethics board, which is a centralized cross-disciplinary body that will take decisions on how we should embed trust in our products, in our services, in our culture, in our communication, so on and so forth. And this body is being led by an AI ethics global leader and our chief privacy officer. IBM has took a very clear and strict decision that we will stop supporting and using facial recognition technologies for general purposes and mass surveillance kind of use cases because we believe it is compromising people's privacy. IBM has released a lot of the AI fairness capabilities to the open source community. So today, if you just Google these names, you will find the code and the toolkit that you need to do AI fact sheet for transparency, AI fairness, you have AI explainability, and as well causal inference, and so on and so forth. So this is part of our open and diverse ecosystem that we are promoting across the global market. IBM is as well an active member of a lot of the worldwide and global initiatives on ethical AI. We are one of the key signatories for the Vatican call for AI ethics. We have partnered with Notre Dame University to establish an AI ethics lab, which purpose is to really deliver best technologies and practices for ethical AI. IBM is an active member at the EU Commission, part of the high-level group on AI, which role is to really deliver the AI ethical practices part of the AI strategy in Europe. And our CEO, Mr. Arvind Krishna, is as well as a co-chair at the steering committee at the World Economic Forum, part of the Global AI Action Alliance. So IBM believe as well that AI is not here only for business, it's also for social good. So IBM is today actively engaged in multiple projects across the world to defend the world's most challenging humanitarian challenges, like poverty, like sustainable development, like medical research, and as well like climate change. I would like to end with just like one thought to leave you with that. So the whole objective of doing all this is not only to advance AI to avoid replicating or amplifying our human bias. We hope by delivering and advancing AI technologies, we will be advancing our human values. So ourselves will be making less biased and more fair decisions using AI technologies. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate your time. I really invite you to go watch us at the IBM booth and really hope you have a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. If I could just keep you on the stage for a minute, because obviously all this talent on the stage, we want to give you access to it, as well as in the break. Does anybody have a question for Dr. Ahmed?
Sure.
If you do, you can make your way to Sandra in the middle and give your name and company. Don't be shy. I've got a huge brain here on stage.
Any questions?
Take advantage. Okay, I've actually overheard somebody earlier on, and it actually was in relation to your last point, the humanity of AI. And they were talking and saying, what about the language of AI? You know, how do they make it more human? That seems to be one of the biggest challenges out there. What do you think on that?
Yeah, for the language of AI, definitely, it's, you know, we believe it's really one of the most complex research problems to understand our human language, because we speak in many different dialects, we have different vocabularies, we have different ways of expressing the same idea. So IBM is today investing heavily in understanding natural language through using a lot of open source and as well using our IBM research capabilities to really take it for the next steps. I invite you, for example, to look into one of our products called IBM Watson Discovery, which is really showing the way of how intelligent and cognitive search can look like. So today we are able not only to understand, let's say, extract entities and relations and semantic roles from text, but we are able as well to provide precise answer to precise questions using a lot of the advances in natural language processing.
I think we have one more person just here. If you could quickly make your way to the microphone in the middle of the room here, please. If you have a question. Yeah, could you come to the microphone? Thank you. If you could state your name and your company just to help Dr. Ahmed with the relevant answer for you.
I'm Georgis from Dubai Customs, managing the projects for data initiatives from Dubai Customs. Okay, I know that it is a silly question, still I just want to ask. I saw in the last slide where it was mentioned about the AI ethics lab. Rome called for ethics lab and the other one is Notre Dame called for ethics lab.
Correct.
So I just want to know what kind of activities are you doing in that?
Sure. So in the Notre Dame Ethics Lab, it is a funded program by our IBM research, where we are basically supporting research at this lab to deliver the best algorithms for different trustworthy AI needs, whether it is like how you would handle robustness, how you would handle explainability, how you would handle bias, so on and so forth. So there's still a lot of open questions. So we don't claim that we have, of course, all the answers. These are something that we believe it should be through partnership between academia and private sector to deliver the best outcomes. So at Notre Dame specifically, we are advancing research for AI ethics technologies and techniques. At the Economic Forum and at the EU Commission Alliance Group, we are supporting the worldwide initiatives on embedding ethical AI at the organization, whether it's technological perspective or whether it's as well from cultural perspective as well. So this is why we are setting the principle based on our experience, and we're giving a recommendation for different government bodies on how countries, private and public sectors can apply and embed these trustworthy AI into practice.
Thank you.
Dr. Ahmed, thank you very much for that answer. Thank you very much for that question. As he said, he's available for questions during the break at the IBM booth. So
Sure.
thank you so
very
much today.
Thank you. Good.